Hi everyone, this is 7th grade Elevate lesson 54 on creating base 10 equivalent fractions. So today we are creating equivalent fractions with denominators of 10 and 100. We know that base 10 students can create equivalent fractions with denominators of 1,000 as well, or even greater than that. However, our focus today is on converting our 10s to our hundreds and our hundreds back to our 10s. And so it is important to know here that you can multiply the numerator and the denominator of a fraction by the same number to get an equivalent fraction, right? So if I am starting with the fraction 1/2, if I multiply 1/2 by the same number, let's say 3/3, I will get an equivalent fraction of 3/6. Let's say I chose to multiply 1/2 by 5/5. That would give me an equivalent fraction of 5/10. 3 out of 6 is half of, let's say, a pizza. 5 out of 10 is also half of a pizza. 1 out of 2 is also half of a pizza. All of these fractions, 3/6, 5/10, and 1/2 are equivalent. Whenever you want to create an equivalent fraction, you have to multiply the numerator and the fraction of that number by the same number. For this example today, we are not going to be choosing our own numbers. We're not going to say we're multiplying by 2/2, 3/3, 5/5. We are going to be working solely with base 10. So 10/10s, 100, 100s, to be able to find those equivalent fractions. And so here's case in point. We have 1/10, and we have to find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100, right? So we started out with 1/10, and they want us to find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 100. So really what we would ask ourselves is, well, what can I multiply by 10 to get to 100? I should know that 10 times 10 is 100. And we just talked about this. If we want to create an equivalent fraction, we have to make sure that we are multiplying that fraction by another fraction that has the same numerator and the denominator. In other words, if I multiplied my denominators by 10, then I need to multiply my numerator by 10 as well. So 10 times 10 gave me 100. 1 times 10 gives me 10. So the fraction that is equivalent to 1/10 with the denominator of 100 is 10 hundredths, which is right here. Today we're not going to pay too much attention to the models, so we won't spend much time talking about the models with students. Instead, you are going to jump into letter A, which would be an I do model. It tells you to find the missing numerator, right? So you started out with 2/10, and then they want you to find a fraction that is equivalent to 2/10 with a denominator of 100. Find the number that you multiply by 10 to get to 100, right? So how do we get from 10 to 100? By multiplying by 10. Then multiply the numerator of 2/10 by that number. So we multiply the denominator by 10. They're telling you to multiply the numerator by 10 as well. That's right here. 2 times 10 gives me 20. So the missing numerator is 20, and the equivalent fraction to 2/10 is 20 hundredths. You'll model that for students for about 3 minutes, and then you'll do a we do question with students This question is asking you to write a fraction with a denominator of 100 that is equivalent to 9/10. So same question as the one that you just did with 2/10. Students should be able to see the through line, and then launching them into a you do question or even a turn and talk around our 6/10 and 62/100 equivalent, right? And it has them figure that out by creating an equivalent fraction with the denominator of 100 to 6/10. So when they multiply 6/10 by 10/10, they get 60/100. They don't get 62/100. So because the numerators are not equivalent, 62/100 and 6/10 are not equivalent. From there, you will give students about 10 minutes to work with partners at a volume level 1 on questions 1 through 9, and then questions 1 through 4 before launching them into this 4-question exit ticket where they are creating equivalent fractions. Well, they are having to find the missing value. So there are questions where the numerators are left blank and they are having to find the missing numerator. We not only want them to find the missing numerator, but we also want them to show their work. So each question will be out of 2 points, giving us a total of 8 points. Here's your grading scale.